Hey guys, Rob here and welcome back to another Konjure Kast. So what I want to go over with you today are the new Akerue Design aggressive frames. I was lucky enough to be selected to be a tester of these new prototype concept frames. Akerue Design is a new brand based out of California, I believe the San Francisco area. And what he is going for is to create an aggressive frame made out of aluminum, CNC machined out of a solid block of aluminum. It's been the year of the aluminum frame. We've had the Sola frame drop, we had the new Kaiser Element 2 frame, both which are great frames that I've had the opportunity to skate and talk about. This is kind of taking it a step further. So those other frames are aluminum, but they're kind of a extruded aluminum. So imagine like a tube being extruded and then you kind of machine the shape out of it. This frame, slightly different. He's taking a harder than normal aluminum and a solid block, putting it in the machine, and they are cutting out every little space. And by cutting out, I mean cutting out. All of the negative space has been removed here to reduce all the unnecessary weight. Structurally, these are extremely, extremely rigid frames. Whenever you put an aluminum frame on your skate, whether it be your FSK or aggressive skate, you instantly feel the difference, especially if you've been skating plastic. It is just a more rigid, more responsive. Every little bit of feedback from those wheels is felt up through your body, and every little bit of feedback from your body putting energy is transferred right to those wheels, and there's a lot of reduction in wasted energy and information there. I like to be able to feel the ground and feel my wheels, and these frames are absolutely not an exception to that feeling. A few differences that I've noticed between these and the Sola and Element 2 frames. First being the grindability. So they're aggressive frames. That is primarily what I've been using and testing them for, just to get a feel for. My two hang-ups with the Sola and the Element 2 frames is that I was getting hang-ups, especially on topside grinds. A softer aluminum on a dry steel coping, mix a little bit of skateboard deck paint in there, and it will slide until it stops, and then usually it's like a jerking stop and you get a tripping feeling or hanging up. The Element 2 frames, as you guys had seen before, I outfitted with some UHMW sidewall sliders made by my good friend Andrew at King Soles, and that completely eliminated that problem. It's kind of a cheat where I'm using plastic to supplement an aluminum frame, but I don't care. It's just the way I want to skate it, and that's what this is all about. These frames, I'd say the problem has been not solved, but extremely mitigated. I'll say the sticking that I was experiencing on the other frames, these probably about 75% less. Much of that has to do with the reduced surface contact area. So there's a lot less aluminum in contact with the surfaces of whatever I'm grinding than with the other frames. And so it's just making it so there's a lot less stickiness sensation. The wheelbase, so the length from 1 to 4 is just a little teeny bit longer than the Element 2 frame. I wish these were a little bit longer, but they're prototypes, so maybe we'll get there. I'm 6'1"-ish, and I like a long frame. These are just about, and I'm sorry, I can't remember what they are exactly at the moment, but they're like kind of like on the minimal length for what I personally would like to ride. Boot-wise, I'm a small boot. I'm wearing like an 8, 9, 7 shell, but again, being taller, I like to have a little bit more wheel out in front and back so that I can lean forward and back, and it just gives me a little bit of a stability feeling. I do believe that there might be a little bit of rocker on these frames, though you guys can correct me if I'm wrong. When I outfitted these with the wheels, I used the Konjure brand 60mm 92A Sean Smith signature wheels on the outside, and on the insides, I'm very happy that we got to use the new Konjure brand 55mm 92A mini flats. So these are kind of the new release that we just put out a couple weeks ago. They're a new version of the old Konjure flats, which were our first wheel. Smaller at 55mm and a little bit softer at 92A. So these are a good combination for this frame. When the wheels were fresh, I did feel like there was still a little bit of a rocker there. Also, you're going to experience rockers sometimes when you have mismatched profiles. So on the inside wheels, I have a flat full profile versus a very round outer wheel profile. This is what Ricardo Lino had dubbed as the magic rocker. So when you are kind of on your edge, the two middle wheels have a little bit more material, which kind of pushes out. giving you a little bit of rocker as you're turning. It's a good feeling as long as you are used to it and can predict it. It can also help you slide a little bit, so I've definitely been getting some wheel slide feeling on these, which I enjoy. Again, as long as I can expect it and predict it, it's a good feeling. The frame height is low. I mean, it's basically the same height as a standard aggressive frame at 60 millimeters, and these King Souls do have a deeper UFS groove, but my wheels are up in the well. Even the 55s in the middle are pretty much level with the bottom of the boot, so I really couldn't get much lower on these, especially with a 62 millimeter essentially flat setup. The groove height, the groove width, and the kind of groove depth. Groove height meaning kind of the relative frame groove height, how much I have to bone over on my Royales. It's pretty subdued. These are probably the same groove height as just any old, even like anti-rocker frame. Royales, Farfignugan, Soyales, everything feels very, very natural. No issues there at all. The slidability of the groove. So the material here, it's just a nice, wide, broad, curved aluminum surface. Definitely similar to the Element 2 frame. I'd say this format, this style of aluminum groove slides probably more akin to like a skateboard truck than an aluminum grind plate. There's no real hard, sharp edges, so when you are sliding over cracks and seams in the coping, it just flows right over it. Super, super smooth there. The groove width is perfectly manageable. When I do like 270 back Royale, I'm getting a good lock on there. No issues kind of sliding out or missing the groove. The groove is not so deep that I'm having any issues with the middle wheels contacting the surfaces. It's kind of just the right balance. One improvement that he did make on these, or one thing he was conscious of when working on this design, was how much of the H-block center wheel protection projects below the bottom of the frame. Certain frames, such as the Element 2 or the Wish frames, have a lot of wheel bite protection, but as you're rolling over cracks outside, like maybe sidewalk seams, you can catch those little edges. Usually doesn't chuck you or anything, but it's just kind of annoying and scary sometimes. Also, when you roll over the edge of like a pyramid bank or something like that, sometimes when you're dropping in, you'll just catch that little bit of edge, and it feels weird, but these, it just doesn't touch. There's no issues with clearance at all. Every once in a while with frames, I'll file down those little corners just to avoid that, but really no issues there at all. Everything on them has been great so far. The feeling is rigid and responsive. They slide fast, they're holding up well. I don't see any potential issues with frame cracking or breaking. I've been slamming them around a bunch, and again, I'm like the fourth person to skate these now, so they're absolutely holding up well. I'm going to show you guys some clips. I've got some clips that I collected yesterday. I spent about 4 hours on these yesterday and about 2 hours a few days before. But I got a bunch of clips yesterday, so I'll share that with you. And that's really all I've got on the new Akerue Design frames. These are not available for sale yet. They're still very much in the testing phase. I believe there's a few sets now that are traveling around. And so hopefully I'll get these for a little while longer before having to pass them along. But I will say that I'm a customer. As soon as these are available for order, you can bet that I'm going to be placing my pre-order or my order and supporting the project. And more than anything, I just want to get my hands on a set for myself. It's next level. It's definitely just crazy extra aggressive skating technology. This is way more than I ever imagined that we'd be getting ourselves into as far as making things. This is definitely in line with the whole DIY culture that's making blading just absolutely great right now. And I'm super happy to see cool stuff like this. So I hope you guys have a great week. Happy spring and lots of skating. I hope to see you guys very soon, and be well. Peace.